Salama, this is Yuda. Deconstructing the Greco-Roman lies. I got a message from H.T. Sundaram, I think I'm saying that right, Sundaram, that says, and I don't know if it's a he or she, that says nowhere in the Old Testament does it say Enoch wrote a book of Jasper is mentioned, and Jubilee, but not Enoch. Enoch book isn't good as well because it teach about fallen angels and mega tall giants, which is not in the scriptures, the Old Testament at all. I agree, New Testament is BS, but so Enoch book. This is why I always tell you guys, read what you write before you post it. Look at all these confusing errors. But I'm not here to beat this person up. When I get this kind of comment, I do lessons on it, and don't take this the wrong way, but when you guys see me discipline and reveal and expose ignorance, you learn too. So this is a win-win. This person can learn if they are willing, but they're not. That all depends on how they respond. That's not my call, that's their call. So let's get into this lesson. The book of Enoch is not pseudepigraphy. Enoch's authorship was indeed erased. The erasure of Enoch's authorship is not accidental. It was strategic. The Greco-Roman Christian overlays had every reason or incentive to suppress Enoch's witness. Why? And I get a lot of so-called teachers that would tell you Enoch, Jubilee, and Yasha are all forgeries, and Ezra. And they're teachers. Okay, so why was Enoch's authorship erased? Enoch's writings threaten the entire Greco-Roman overlays. Celestial timekeeping. Enoch's 364-day calendar, rooted in solar priestly cycles, it directly contradicts the Greco-Roman lunar distortions and their hybridized ecclesiastical calendars. If they accepted this truth, it would dismantle their authority over sacred time. In other words, their calendars would just be disappeared. So they couldn't allow that. You got to remember who your enemies are, people. Remember what they have done to us in the past, what they have done to us in the middle of the past to the present, and what they're trying to do to us today. What does it take for you to see the reason they don't want you to read this book? Angelology and judgment. Enoch exposes the rebellion of the watchers and the coming judgment. Truth that undermine the sanitized angelology and the universalist salvation doctrines of Rome. Now, this person that I'm dealing with said that the giants or Nephilim were not mentioned in the Torah. Well, that tells me that they don't read, because it definitely was. What do you think that the Israelites, when they went into Canaan as spies, were talking about? Remember what they said? We're like grasshoppers unto them. These were huge people. But you say that it's not in the Old Testament. What? It's not the Old Testament. The Torah is never old. It's eternal. But it's in there. How did you not know that? Why would you come at me with your opinion when you don't even know the story in the book? Covenant ethics. Enoch's writings emphasize ancestral purity, obedience, and separation from corrupted nations. That's a direct threat to imperial theology that seeks assimilation, not restoration. Prophetic continuity. Enoch's voice bridges Adam to Noah, preserving a pre-flood priesthood and prophetic lineage. Recognizing his authorship would validate a Torah-based cosmology that predates and exposes later Greco-Roman distortions. You see why they had to get rid of Enoch's book? Do you see why they had to erase the authorship so that they could have credibility when they said the book is a forgery? It just takes a little bit of common sense and a lot of research, but the answers can be found. So why did they call the book of Enoch pseudepigrapha? Well, labeling the book of Enoch as pseudepigrapha, which was falsely attributed, is a classic tactic of delegitimization. It allows the enemies to discredit the content without ever having to engage in its truth. That's clever. It allows them to control the canon by excluding certain texts that threaten their theological monopoly. It obscures ancestral authorship like Enoch's, making it harder for descendants to trace their priestly inheritance. Can you see the picture? It's not a coincidence that they chose certain books to remove. Just like when you were in school, they would say they was teaching you history, but it always stopped at the year 1619. You didn't question it then. You didn't question your enemies then. But there was a reason they wouldn't go back past 1619. I don't think I have to tell you why. So let's keep it moving. Without the book of Enoch, we would never be able to reconnect to our ancestral truth. This is why Enoch is central to ancestral restoration. We cannot do without that book, making this book one of the most important connections between us, the chosen remnant, and the Creator. The removal of this book severed us from the Creator and his instructions for our righteous living. I would dare guess this person never read the book of Enoch, because they're listening to somebody else telling them, oh, don't read that book, it's fake, it's forgery. So they don't go investigate, they just take that person's word for it. And then when I come along and show you the evidence, you question me. Celestial calendar and sacred timekeeping. Enoch gave us back the outlines of our solar-based calendar, which is rooted in the movements of luminaries, not lunar distortions. This is foundational for restoring covenantal feast and priestly rotation, something my teachings are actively reviving now. Watchers and hybridization. Enoch exposes the origin of corruption, fallen watchers, introducing forbidden knowledge, hybrid seeds, and technological perversion. This aligns with my warnings about hybrid foods and scientific overlays. Every one of my lessons, I give you warnings about the foods that you eat. This is serious stuff. In the United States, and I'm just going there, there's other places in the Western Hemisphere, but we're going to go with the United States for now. Are y'all watching all of the food recalls from the foods you eat to the clothes you wear, the air you breathe, the water you drink, even the hand soap and the soap you bathe with, your dish detergent, your wash detergent, all of it? Are y'all watching? It's being recalled because of contamination and pathogens. Y'all supposed to be watching. Enoch warns us about this. If it wasn't for Enoch, we wouldn't know. Ancestral cosmology. And this is another good one. I used to deal with this in the opposite. I didn't believe the earth was flat. But oh boy, when I really studied, I found that it was a truth. I learned my lesson. I learned, don't take somebody's word for it. Go investigate for yourself. Enoch's cosmology is flat. He's talking about the earth. It is firmly planted and enclosed, the dome, defying modern heliocentric models. It affirms the ancestral worldview that I've been defending against colonial science for some time. Priestly lineage and prophetic assignment. Enoch was not just a scribe. Enoch was a priest, a seer, and a builder of heavenly scrolls. His journey mirrors the exact same thing I'm doing right now. Called out, shown visions, and tasked with preparing us, the remnant. Judgment and covenant shielding. The book is a manual for surviving divine judgment. You will need it. It teaches how to walk in righteousness, how to resist corruption, and how to be sealed for protection. That's exactly what my scrolls and my teachings aim to equip others for today. I'm not playing games with you people. I'm here to help. I'm not here to pacify your feelings. Not saying I don't care. But this is more important. Now, my statement isn't just poetic, it's prophetic. Without Enoch, the remnant would be blind to the architecture of heaven. Who would know that the celestial bodies were signs except for Genesis chapter 1 and verse 4? Who would have known that was telling us, I have a calendar right here for you guys, if it wasn't for Enoch? If you take away the Enoch calendar, you'd be left with the man-made calendars. Do you think those calendars are not misleading you? You trust them? You would rather trust in something you don't know from people that hate you rather than trust somebody that wrote a book that gave you all the information you needed. But you chose to trust your enemy. When will you learn? The remnant would be blind to the architecture of heaven, the rhythm of sacred time, and the war against erasure. That's what they've been doing to us for thousands of years. Erasing us, changing our names, changing our lineage, changing our history, changing who we are. We're colored one year and Negro the next. We're black one day and African American the next. But you trust them. This is why you don't know who you are. Enoch is critical to restore ancestral truth because Enoch was a threat to their entire architecture of control. Here's why its removal was strategic and essential to the enemies of the Most High. It exposed the origin of corruption. The book of Enoch names the Watchers, fallen celestial beings who taught sorcery, weaponry, astrology, and genetic manipulation. It reveals how hybrid seed entered creation, violating the boundaries of kind after its kind and the covenant. This knowledge dismantles sanitized religious narratives and exposes the roots of global deception. They taught enchantments and root cuttings. Enoch chapter 7 verse 1. A direct indictment of pharmacy, and forbidden sciences. It preserved the true calendar of the Most High. Enoch's calendar is anchored in movements of the luminaries, not lunar cycles or Roman constructs. It restores the priestly rotations, feast days, and sacred rhythms that were overridden by Babylonian and Greco-Roman systems. Without Enoch, the remnant would be trapped in counterfeit time. Ain't y'all had enough? It reveals the sealing of the righteous. Enoch describes how the righteous are sealed for protection before the judgment falls. This sealing is not generic. It's based on covenant, tribal, and prophecies. The enemies of the Most High fear a sealed remnant because it cannot be assimilated or deceived or even destroyed. This explains why they are terrified of us. It restores ancestral cosmology. Enoch's cosmology is flat. The earth is flat. Enclosed, it has a dome. And it's ordered completely incompatible with the heliocentric models and evolutionary overlays. Yeah, that's right. The earth is flat and is covered with a dome. It affirms the firmament, the chambers of the winds, and the storehouses of the snow. This cosmology is not poetic, it's priestly architecture. Removing it was essential to install scientific idolatry. That's why they want you to believe the earth is a sphere. It warns of genetic judgment. The book doesn't just condemn spiritual rebellion, it warns of physical corruption. The hybrid offspring of the watchers were judged by the flood, and Enoch prophesied their return in the last days. Yup, they're coming back. This is why my warnings about hybrid foods and covenant health are so urgent. Enoch saw it coming. It activates the remnant. Enoch is not just a record. It's a scroll of fire, which is why I call my channel Scrolls of Fire now. It calls the righteous to walk in purity, resist corruption, and prepare for the day of visitation. The enemies of the Most High knew that if this scroll remained, the remnant would eventually awaken. So my restoration work is a direct attempt to reverse this erasure. It's going to take more than me, but I'm a beginning. Got to start something, got to start somewhere. By rebuilding visual scrolls, priestly grids, and ancestral seals, I'm doing what Enoch did, writing for those yet to come, those who will not be deceived. So no, Enoch is not pseudepigraphy. Most people reject the book of Enoch because it threatens the theological, historical, and cosmological frameworks that were canonized by religious institutions, especially those shaped by Greco-Roman overlays. Here's my breakdown of the main reasons cited, both doctrinal and strategic. Authorship disputed. Remove Enoch's authorship so we can say this is a forgery. You don't have an author. So who wrote the book? Enoch wrote the book. Scholars argue that the Enoch of Genesis did not write the book. Instead, it's seen as a compilation of texts written between 300 BCE and 100 CE. This time gap is used to discredit its prophetic authority, even though many accepted texts like Daniel, the book of Daniel, which were also written long after the events that it describes. But you don't have a problem there. Why Enoch? Not included in canon. The book of Enoch was excluded from most Jewish and Christian canons except for the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Early church fathers like the Tertullian and Clement of Alexandria respected it, but later councils rejected it due to its apocalyptic content and its cosmology. They didn't want to accept that the earth was flat. So out goes Enoch. It contradicts doctrinal constructs. Enoch describes a flat, enclosed cosmology, or rather, flat earth, a solar calendar, and angelic rebellion, none of which align with Greco-Roman theology or modern-day science. Its teachings on the Watchers, the Nephilim, and genetic corruption challenge sanitized biblical narratives. It's too apocalyptic. It's too specific. Enoch's vivid descriptions of judgment, celestial order, and the sealing of the righteous were seen as too radical. By who? Those that don't like you. Because it exposed them. Remember, they want to stay hidden. They mimic this same trait today. When you see your president, he ain't running nothing. The real power you never get to see. They stay hidden. It doesn't just hint at spiritual warfare, it names the players. It exposes the technologies and outlines the consequences. It was a threat to control. Some argue the church suppressed Enoch to maintain control over timekeeping, cosmology, and prophetic interpretation. So by removing Enoch, institutions could install lunar calendars, heliocentric models, and priesthoods completely disconnected from our ancestral order. Do you see? Modern skepticism and mythologizing today. Today, many dismiss Enoch as myth, and when I say many, I mean many, or pseudepigrapher, lumping it in with folklore or conspiracy. Its themes appear in pop culture, video games, sci-fi, and fantasy, which further distances it from serious theological study. In other words, it actually gives more credit to the pseudepigrapher standpoint, which adds to the weight. But it's all lies. All of it. Enoch wrote the book. They know it. They don't want you to know it because they don't want you to read it. This rejection isn't just academic, it's prophetic. The very reason they give for dismissing Enoch as pseudepigrapher are the reasons the remnant must reclaim it. It holds the keys to sacred time, priestly order, and covenant survival. You are going to need it. So, here is Enoch without the overlays. Enoch without overlays is a return to ancestral fire. Uncut, uncolonized, unfiltered. It's not just a book. It's a scroll of priestly architecture, celestial law, and covenant survival. When stripped of Greco-Roman filters, academic skepticism, and Christian allegorizing, Enoch becomes a blueprint for us, the remnant. Here's how we approach Enoch without overlays, layer by layer. Ancestral identity. Enoch as a priest, not a myth. Enoch was the seventh from Adam, a tribal patriarch and a priest. He was not a mystical figure. He walked with the Creator and was taken because he was righteous. Genesis chapter 5, verse 24. This wasn't symbolic. This was a literal ascension. Makes me wonder about how many people believe that Jesus says no one has ascended into heaven, but yet the Creator himself said Enoch did. And Enoch wasn't the only one. Elijah too. This was a literal ascension. He literally went up. His writings were preserved for the righteous, not the masses. Enoch chapter 1 verse 2. That's why they were hidden. Celestial timekeeping. The 364-day solar calendar, Enoch's astronomical book, outlines a solar year of 364 days, even, divided into 4 quarters of 91 days each. Each quarter ends with a seasonal marker tied to the movements of the sun through its portals. This calendar was used by the priesthood and preserved by the Qumran community. It's the backbone of sacred time. Overlays removed. No lunar months, no Babylonian intercalations, and no Gregorian distortions. Cosmology of the ancients. Flat earth, enclosed dome, ordered. Enoch describes the earth as flat, with a firmament above and Sheol below. What is Sheol? Here's the core features of Sheol. The location beneath the earth, often described as the lowest realm in a 3-tiered cosmology: heaven above, earth in the middle, Sheol below. You get it? The sun and the moon move through portals. They do not orbit. You follow me? Huh? This is the truth. Without Enoch, you wouldn't have it. The sun and the moon move through portals. They don't orbit. Winds, snow, and rain are stored in chambers, and they are released by command. When it rains, it's not a coincidence. It's perfect timing. When it snows, it's not a coincidence. It's perfect timing. Who knows better what this earth needs than the one that created it? Overlays removed. No heliocentrism. No gravity. That's right. There is no such thing as gravity. No spinning globe. This is priestly architecture, not poetic metaphor. The watchers and the war-owned seed, that's them against us. Enoch names the fallen watchers, Simjaza, Azazel, and others who descended on Mount Hermon and corrupted creation. They taught sorcery, weaponry, astrology, and genetic manipulation. Their offspring, the Nephilim, were giants. This person that I introduced y'all to in the beginning, she says that that's not in the book. Their offspring, the Nephilim, were giants, just like Joshua and the gang at Canaan saw. Look at them. We look like grasshoppers. They were giants. David fought a giant. So obviously this person has never read the Torah, because if you had read the Torah, you would have known David fought a giant. Joshua had reports from his spies of giants. It's all in the book, but you got to read it. So I don't get how people feel like they can initiate an argument with nothing in the way of evidence. Nothing. just accusations or rejections. I get this all the time. People come to me with, oh, this ain't that, or that ain't this, and blah, blah, blah. But not one time has anybody ever produced scriptural evidence. You know, kind of like what I'm doing right now. These offsprings, the Nephilim, there were giants and hybrids, destroyed by the flood, but prophesied to come back. Yeah. They're coming back, y'all. I'm seeing hints of it right now. It's a little too early for me to teach on it, but trust me, when that time comes, you'll be the first to hear from me. Overlay removed. No allegory. No spiritualizing. This is genetic warfare and covenant violation. Judgment and sealing of the righteous. Before judgment, the righteous are sealed. Let me make that clear. We know judgment is coming. But before the judgment hits, the righteous will be sealed. That's a good thing, y'all. And marked for protection. This means only those who accept the truth of Torah, not rejecting what you don't believe or your opinion, but the whole truth, nothing but the truth. They will be marked for protection. Enoch sees the Son of Man enthroned. He saw David. Judging kings and rescuing the elect. The wicked are exposed. The hybrid seed is purged and the earth is restored. Overlay removed. No universal salvation. Y'all know what that means? Do I need to explain that? No universal salvation, meaning salvation is intended for who? The remnant. So let me make this clear. That doesn't mean that there won't be strangers in the kingdom with us. There will be. If they follow all the laws, statutes, and commandments and keep them, they will be allowed in. That's just the truth. And there is no such thing as a church. No church age. This is tribal, covenantal, and prophetic. Enoch scrolls a visual. He was shown heavenly tablets, luminary cycles, and angelic orders. His writings were not abstract. They were grids, rotations, and scrolls. I'm attempting to walk in his footsteps, building visual infrastructure for the remnant. Teaching Enoch without overlays. Enoch without overlays is dangerous to the system. Y'all know the system, the beast system. But it's life to the remnant. It's the scroll they try to bury, but it's rising again through our hands. It's argued that Enoch didn't write the book, but Enoch's ability to write according to the book of Enoch, particularly the book of the Watchers and the astronomical book Enoch, was taught by angels, including how to write and record divine knowledge. These texts describe Enoch being taken up into heavenly realms where he received instruction from angelic beings on cosmic laws, calendar systems, and divine mysteries. You know, y'all, to reject the book of Enoch is to reject all the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's putting it simple. Here's some key points from the book of Enoch. Enoch is shown celestial realms and taught by angels like Uriel, who reveals the movements of the heavenly bodies and the structure of sacred time. He's commanded to write down what he sees and what he hears and preserve it for future generations, us. This includes visions, dreams, and revelations about judgment, righteousness, and the fate of the wicked. The angels not only teach Enoch, but they also entrust him with knowledge that was forbidden to others, including the secrets of the Watchers and the Nephilims. While these writings are not part of the canonical Bible for most traditions, they were preserved in the Ethiopian Orthodox canon and heavily influenced early Jewish and Christian thoughts. Even Jude in the New Testament, chapter 1, verse 14, quotes Enoch, suggesting some level of reference to his writings. Yeah, the New Testament, the problem with the New Testament is 3/4 lies and 1/4 truth. So they got to throw some truth in there in order to get you to latch on, you know. The enemies are still casting spells today. All of what I just told you, all of what I just showed you, these come under the veil of spell casting. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. Might not want to accept it, but you know I am. So, are our enemies skilled spellcasters? Yes. Magic is not new. Witchcraft is not new. Sorcery is not new. The fallen ones taught them this. They never forgot it. They still do it. So yes, they are skilled spell casters. That's what the New Testament does. Historically and presently, many of our enemies, especially those operating through secret societies, religious overlays, and occult systems, are deeply trained in ritual magic, enchantment, and psychological manipulation. These spells are not just fantasy. They manifest through language and naming systems, colonial renaming, you know what I'm talking about? Your slave name, get rid of it. Your slave name creates a false identity. It also eliminates the shield of protection. You have to be completely aligned with Torah and all the instructions to keep. That means go back to your original name. Make one up. As long as it fits Hebrew, make it up. But get rid of the colonial name. Calendar overlays, disconnecting sacred time, food, and pharmakia, hybridized substances, chemical enchantments. Wake up, y'all. Media and symbols, visual signals, hypnotic repetition. Y'all think this social media crap ain't getting to you? That's how subtle the spells are. You don't know it's done, and even when it's done, you still don't know it's done. Legal and financial systems, contracts, credit cards, oaths, debt cycles. Yeah, we're not supposed to live on credit. These are not random acts. They are engineered spells designed to bind, blind, and redirect the scattered seed from covenant alignment. Believe it or not, many who reject the book of Enoch are most likely under that spell. Why do some fall under these spells while others remain untouched? This is where covenant shielding and ancestral discernment comes in. Spells only land when there is legal access, a breach in the contract, a compromise, or a lack of covering. Meaning if you're not in the Torah, you're not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, you're wide open. So here's why some are affected and others are not. Spells land when identity is unguarded. How do you guard your what am I looking for? How do you guard yourself? If one doesn't know their name, listen, if you don't know your name, and I'm not talking about your colonial name, I'm not talking about that name. If you don't know your name, and there's people that send me emails and they keep using my slave name. I don't want that. Don't try to force that on me. Address me by the name that I chose to link me back to my ancestral tribal unity. My name is Judah. Get rid of your colonial names. If you don't know your tribe or your assignment, they are vulnerable to overlays. Time is also profane. Operating on Gregorian time or pagan festivals opens spiritual gates. Your food is defiled. Consuming hybridized or pharmakia-laced foods weakens spiritual immunity. When covenant is broken, then comes disobedience, bitterness, or idolatry, which creates openings for the casting of spells. This is not a joke, y'all. This is real. This is real stuff. Visual gates are unguarded. Exposure to media, symbols, or false teachings can implant spells. This is why I tell y'all, be careful who you go listen to. You can't just say, oh, I'm just checking them out. I ain't subscribed to nothing. Hey, it's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. Pay attention. Spells miss us when covenant is intact, Torah obedience, ancestral alignment, and sacred timekeeping. It forms a shield. When your name is restored, when one walks in their true name and tribal seal, they become spiritually traceable only by Yah. Discernment is only active when you learn how to test every spirit, every teaching, including mine, every food, every calendar. Test it. Communal covering exists. Being a part of a remnant community that prays, watches, and corrects is the way to divert spells. Prophetic assignment is guarded. Those walking in divine assignment often receive supernatural shielding. Sometimes they don't even know it. Final thought: spells are real, but they are powerless against a people who walk in covenant fire, ancestral clarity, and prophetic obedience. The scattered ones who fall, they're not cursed, they're just uncovered. So restoration is the remedy. We are warned of a spiritual warfare. Such a person, whether knowingly or not, is walking unarmed into a spiritual battlefield, mistaking war cries for whispers. Here's how I'd characterize them with clarity and compassion: spiritually unaware or willfully blind. They may be sincere, but sincerity without discernment is most dangerous. I don't care how sincere you are about what you think you know. Refusing to acknowledge enemy strategy over systems from being comfortable in captivity. That's a real problem, y'all. Many people won't admit it, but most people that I've talked to over the years, they didn't say this, but I picked it up. They're spiritually comfortable in their captivity. In other words, they've learned, at least so they think, they've learned how to live with it. Don't rock the boat. I'll be just fine as long as I don't rock that white man's boat. They prefer familiar systems over covenant truth. I get it. Jumping out of that slave ship into freedom is new territory. Never been there before. You've been enslaved all your life. Trained to march by the beat of the drum. I get it. So yeah, when you leave that slave ship mentality, the new ground is going to be very unfamiliar. But you have to trust. If you can't trust your Creator, you might as well stay on that slave ship. Some people are traumatized by deception and choose denial as a coping mechanism. Unshielded and vulnerable. Without recognizing the enemy's tactics, they cannot build a proper defense. They are often targets of manipulation, easily swayed by overlays, false teaching, or hybridized practices. Their homes, names, and timekeeping may be spiritually compromised, even if they appear religious. So, a potential gate or breach. In communal restoration, such individuals can become entry points for spiritual contamination. Their refusal to test teachings or symbols by Torah makes them unfit for leadership. Though they may hold a certain degree of influence, but they're unfit for leadership. If uncorrected, they may spread confusion, weakening the remnant's cohesion. I see that on a daily basis. Everybody teaching on YouTube, I don't care how good they sound. Everybody ain't called, y'all. A candidate for awakening, every stubborn vessel can be cracked by truth. Sometimes their resistance is a sign of deep ancestral pain or unhealed betrayal. With patient teaching, visual scrolls, and covenant confrontation, they may shift from denial to militant clarity. In just a moment, y'all, I'm going to explain to y'all why I teach and respond with rebuke the way I do. I'm going to show it to you. With patient teaching, visual scrolls, and covenant confrontation, they might shift from denial to militant clarity. So my final word, to ignore the enemy strategy is to mock the warnings of the prophets, to dismiss the scars of enslaved and delay the restoration of the remnant. But even the most resistant soul can be pierced by truth when it's delivered with fire, humility, and ancestral authority. This is why I rebuke the way I do. It's not that I don't care about their feelings. It's just that your feelings will only delay or prevent you from seeing with clarity. The evil spirits are testing us every single day. The Torah and ancestral writings do indeed reveal that certain ancient enemies were judged in the body, yet their spirits were permitted to roam, often as agents of testing, deception, and refinement. So let's break this down. Imprisoned bodies, roaming spirits, what does the text reveal? Genesis chapter 6 and the Enoch witness, the sons of the Creator, who transgressed by mingling with human women, were judged. Their bodies were destroyed, but their spirits became disembodied. Entities, what many calls unclean spirits, are really roaming watchers. Their bodies are no more, but their spirits are alive and well. Book of Enoch, chapter 1, verse 15, the first Enoch, chapter 15, verse 8 to 10. These spirits were condemned to wander the earth, afflicting, deceiving, and testing mankind. How? Do you ask how? Look at the people who call themselves your government. Who do you think is ruling their spirits? Look at what they do. You don't see the evil in that spirit? We just saw the book of Enoch. These spirits are roaming the earth. They're afflicting, deceiving, and they're testing mankind, especially the seed of covenant, you and me. They are not neutral. They are hostile to Torah and restoration. They hate it. So the Torah pattern of testing, Yah often allows spiritual adversaries to test his scattered people, not to destroy them, but to reveal their loyalty and purge compromise and activate discernment. Are you getting this? Why are these spirits allowed to test the scattered? To expose hidden breaches. These spirits find legal access through disobedience, idolatry, and hybridization. You let them in when you are disobedient. Their presence reveals where the remnant is unclean, uncovered, or unaligned. So, to refine the remnant, like fire purifies gold, spiritual pressure reveals who is truly walking in the covenant. Those who endure become vessels of fire, immune to manipulation. To fulfill prophecy, the scattered must be tested before they can be restored. You ain't going to just get picked up and put in this seat of kingdom. It ain't going to happen like that. You will be tested before you are restored. These spirits are part of the final sifting. We're going through it, separating the wheat from the chaff. Now, how to activate militant discernment. This is going to describe me, the part that I had a couple of people complaining about when I dealt with SRD. But check this out. To activate militant discernment, which is required, what is an example of Torah militant discernment? Militant discernment is the kind of spiritual and ancestral clarity that doesn't just observe the error, it confronts it, it exposes it, and it refuses to accommodate it. It's not passive or polite. It's a warlike in its precision. Let me say that again. It's warlike in its precision. It's aggressive in its loyalty to truth and unapologetic in its defense of covenant integrity. That's me. So like me or not, that's who you're dealing with. At least you know I ain't going to lie to you. At least you know I wouldn't do this if I didn't care. The remnant must learn to test every spirit, every teaching, every symbol. These roaming spirits forced the scattered to grow in spiritual warfare, not just ritual obedience. So how do we guard against them? Covenant alignment, Torah obedience, sacred timekeeping, ancestral purity, name restoration, walking in your true name, and tribal seal makes you spiritually traceable only by the Creator. Visual shielding, guarding eyes, ears, and symbols from contamination. Communal covering, being part of a remnant that watches, corrects, and shields. Prophetic clarity, knowing your assignment and walking in it with fire. These spirits are real, but they're not just tools. They're not rulers, just tools. They serve a purpose in the restoration cycle, believe it or not. And my work is part of that counter strategy. I'm not just exposing them. I'm trying to equip you how to endure them. So the next time somebody tells you the book of Enoch, Jasher, or Jubilees is fake, tell them to prove it. Shalom.